It's high time we have a rant video. Patreon. I have supported a number of channels, YouTube channels through Patreon, primarily because they were demonetized, meaning that someone somewhere had deemed that their content was not business friendly, family friendly, whatever. And none of these channels have been vulgar or offensive in any matter. It's just that they didn't have the right politics. And I guess it was, for me, it was just a small sign of rebellion against that censorship coming out of Silicon Valley, that I was willing to contribute to these channels. As of this morning, I have pulled all support from Patreon and all of the creators. And I hate to do this, but I think it's important, and I'm making this video because I want to reach as many people as I can, so to let you guys know what's going on. So Patreon is, if you don't know very quickly, is a company that allows creators to upload content, and then if you like that content, you can support. We all know how it works, right? So the thing that really put me off today is Sargon Carl is one of the people that I supported. And Sargon Carl, if you don't know, he's got a YouTube channel, just under 1 million subscribers. He is a political commentator, and this has nothing to do with whether you agree with him or not. That's not the point. The point is that he was making his living supporting his family, supporting his children, putting up really good content, some of the best content on the web, and he was being supported using Patreon to do this, to make this happen. So out of the blue, Patreon pulled his account, terminated his account without any explanation whatsoever. So I dug into this and tried to find out what's going on, because there's a big brouhaha over this. And what I found out was 10 months ago, Sargon Carl said something on a website, podcast or something like that, that they deemed to be offensive, and therefore, even though it was not on the Patreon site, yanked his account. Right before Christmas, no explanation. He didn't violate the terms of service. They just deemed that, I think, they just didn't like him. We don't like him, we don't like you, we don't like your politics, therefore we're going to make you disappear. Now the thing that happened, a couple months ago, where Alex Jones was completely scrubbed from the web, from Facebook, from Patreon, from the Apple Store, from YouTube, was terrifying and sets a very, very dangerous precedent. And again, I'm not advocating for Alex Jones. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that someone disagrees, and that there's a group of folks sitting in an ivory tower in California somewhere deeming thumbs up or thumbs down whether you will be able to make a living or be able to even have your message on the web at all. And so this second thing, when they take a guy like Carl and they take away his ability to provide a living for his family, it really rubs me the wrong way. And that's why I will never, ever use Patreon again. And I hope, I really do, I hope that everyone who sees this, that is supporting creators through Patreon, will pull all of their funding. I know this is a hard thing, and I know it's not fair to the creators that are making a living from this, but the precedence that they're setting is too dangerous, and we can't stand by and allow this to happen, because it's even worse than that. So if it wasn't bad enough that they did that, and they're doing that not only to Carl, but to lots and lots of creators, the creators are going to alternative sites. There was another site that was a competitor, a small competitor to Patreon, and I can't remember the name. It was something Star. And so he went over there, and he's trying to get things going and set it up again. And it wasn't good enough that they destroyed his ability to make a living on Patreon, but then they go over there and they pressure the credit card company. I think it was PayPal, which is another Silicon Valley terrible company. I've had dealings with them for years and years, and one of the most despised companies in the world. So hated are they that they can't even have their name on the side of their building, I've heard. So if it wasn't good enough that they take his ability to support himself off of Patreon, they go over there and they shut down this competing site. This is, I'm so sick and tired of this. I don't know how much more of this people are going to be willing to put up with. We had the Adpocalypse. We have this small group of people, I don't know who they are or who appointed them, dictating to us what we can and cannot say. And it doesn't matter if someone, just because someone says something that you don't agree with or is offensive on a YouTube site or Patreon videos, you can't just say, well, I didn't like their stuff anyway, you know, so that's just fine with me. The fact that someone, it has so much power and is wielding the power, but also is able to destroy any competition and make it impossible for anyone else to succeed, is un-American, and it just can't happen anymore. So I want to make this video to make everyone aware of what's going on and to encourage you to pull any support that you have through Patreon. And what's going to come out of this, yeah, it might be some lean years, might be some lean time for a few people, but nature abhors a vacuum and something else will come up. I would love to see Patreon and Facebook and Twitter and these major tech companies brought to their knees through grassroots efforts of small channels like myself, and I'd love to see some alternatives. Someone that has the ability and has the means to step up and to make competitive sites to these companies and basically have some guidelines and some rules and realize so you know what is acceptable and what's not. Because the problem we're having with these companies in YouTube is to blame as well, is they're moving the goalpost. It's wrong for companies to be going back and looking and drawing a bead on someone and going back and digging through years and years, 5, 6, 7 years in the past to try to find some sort of a tweet or a blog post or a comment on a YouTube video and using that to make someone disappear or using that to silence their voice. It's un-American, it's censorship at its worst, and it's a terrible, terrible precedent. So I can't wait to see how this comes out, and I hope that more creators will have, and patrons will have the backbone to step away from this and be ready to throw your support at someone who is willing to allow people to say what they want to say. Because it doesn't, I mean, you may say, well, I'm not a political commentator. I'm not Alex Jones. I don't have these extreme views, so I'm safe. Well, yeah, that's fine, but they will come for you eventually. I don't do that type of content, and I don't have what I would consider to be a controversial channel. But how big of a step is it to go to, well, the Bible now and these things that you've had in videos in the past, you know, this is considered to be hate speech. Therefore, we're going to make you disappear off these platforms as well. I mean, that's not far-fetched at all, and that is exactly where this is going and what can happen. So I want to make everyone aware of that. I want to encourage you to pull all funding from Patreon. I want you to send emails explaining to them why you're doing it, and well, you know, be professional. I'll be doing the same thing. Send Carl support, Sargon of Akkad. Well, again, whether you are into what he says or not, it doesn't matter. It's unfair and it's not right. He didn't do anything wrong, and if they're coming for him, they're going to be coming for you. It's just a matter of time, unless you bow the knee and conform to exactly what they want, and that's not the way it should be. I cannot wait. I wish I had the means myself to build the next YouTube that would be the way it was 10 years ago. I wish I had the ability to have an alternative to Patreon to help creators in this terrible, terrible hour of censorship. And all right, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.